Hello, everyone. It's Kylie Amatuzzi. I hope this week is finding you well. I'm responding to question 2, describing different schedules of reinforcement, why they're important, and the effects that they can have on behaviors to a person. So, given that the principle of reinforcement has already been described to a person who's unfamiliar with applied behavior analysis, I would start off by saying, according to Cooper, Heron, and Hayward, a schedule of reinforcement is a rule that describes a contingency of reinforcement. There are continuous schedules of reinforcement and intermittent schedules of reinforcement. Continuous reinforcement provides reinforcement for each occurrence of the targeted behavior or the occurrence of the behavior that you want to see. Intermittent schedules of reinforcement are when some, but not all, of the occurrences of the behavior are reinforced. So schedules of reinforcement allow reinforcement to be delivered for particular responses, but not others. According to Catania, it is an arrangement that specifies which responses within an operant class will be reinforced. So while we can discuss the various schedules of reinforcement and the combinations that one can use, I'm going to elaborate on 3 basic intermittent schedules of reinforcement, which are ratio schedule, interval schedule, and we'll touch on differential reinforcement of rate or inner response time. So a variable ratio schedule is the average number of responses required per reinforcer. And the reinforcer depends on a variable number of responses without regard of the passage of time, according to Catania. Variable ratio schedules can generate high responses and a roughly constant response rates between reinforcers. So a great real-world example would be a slot machine. The machines are programmed to pay off only a certain portion of the times that they are played. So variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. And just so you know, I did draft up my response to this week. It just helped me prepare. So I am reading from something that I wrote. So variable interval schedules have reinforcers delivered on a single response that occurs after a specific time has elapsed. So the average time to the availability of a reinforcer. A great real-world example of this would be when a person telephones a friend, but the line is busy. So this is a variable interval schedule because a variable interval of time is necessary for the second person to conclude the phone call and answer the other phone call. Fixed ratio schedules entail the number of responses per reinforcers to the availability of a reinforcer, and it is constant from one reinforcer to the next. So it's where you get the fixed. Some businesses or industrial tasks are paid on a fixed ratio schedule. For example, piecework. A worker might receive a pay after completing a specific number of tasks or items to be built. A student might receive a sticker having learned 10 new sight words. And I hope you're beginning to see a pattern here with the fixed and variable and interval versus ratio. So on the other hand, a fixed interval schedule focuses on the time to the availability of a reinforcer, and it's constant from one reinforcer to the next. So it doesn't matter if the occurrence of the behavior didn't happen. In a fixed interval, you will get reinforced depending on the time that you choose. So it was kind of difficult to think of an authentic example in our real world where we see this happening, but I did see one from Cooper, Heron, and Hayward, and it elaborated on an individual might take many trips to a mailbox to check for mail. But only the first trip to the mailbox following the delivery of the mail is the one that matters, and it produces the reinforcement. But in a true fixed interval schedule, responses during the interval do not influence the reinforcement. So it's important to know that these schedules of reinforcement seldom work alone, but this is a great start for beginning to understand the different schedules of reinforcement. And basic research has found that systematically analyzing the effects of schedules of reinforcement on the performance of individuals or even laboratory animals have produced well-established results. So the effects have shown strong generality for applying these skills to different settings and environments. Schedules of reinforcement are essential in behavior modification programs. And since reinforcement is an integral part of applied behavior analysis, the schedules play a crucial role in the behavior change. In other terms, or another way to say it, reinforcing a behavior increases the likelihood that it will be repeated again. So, okay, thanks for listening.